Hey everybody, it's Al again, and this week on Let's Talk Politics, there's a little bit of a civil war brewing. Not probably the one you're thinking of. This one is between Steve Bannon and Donald Trump. Okay, I'm making a little bit of fun calling it a civil war, but Bannon and Trump are going at it, and here's what happened. There was a guy, I believe his name is Micheal Wolf. He's a columnist for The Guardian. He was like an autobiographer or something for Rupert Murdoch. But he did a story about Steve Bannon and his time at the White House where he'd actually taken a bunch of quotes from Bannon, and Bannon said some really interesting stuff, and that set Trump off. So first off, here's what Bannon said, and I'm not going to talk too much about him calling Donald Trump Jr.'s discussion with the Russian lawyer, whoever it was. He called that treasonous, and that's what's getting all the headlines because Russia is the big story. However, I think there's a bigger one in here, and I think it has to do with money laundering, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that's what they're going to get Trump on. And I've been saying this. I haven't said it here on the channel because I haven't been doing this on the channel for that long. But anybody that's talked to me about it in my personal life knows I've been saying they're not going to get Trump on some collusion thing. They're going to get him on something financial, be it money laundering or some corrupt financial deal he does. And that's what Bannon's saying here. All right, let's take a look at the quotes. What I'm about to read you, this is Wolf quoting Bannon in his book. You realize where this is going. This is all about money laundering. Mueller chose senior prosecutor Andrew Weissman first, and he's a money laundering guy. Their path to fuck Trump goes right through Paul Manafort. Don Jr. and Jared Kushner, it's as plain as a hair on my face. And Bannon continues. It goes through Deutsche Bank and the Kushner shit. The Kushner shit is greasy. They're going to go right through that. They're going to roll those two guys up and say, play me or trade me. Then Bannon went on and he made a metaphor about a Category 5 hurricane and how the White House trying to stop this from happening is the same as them standing on the beach and trying to stop a Category 5 hurricane. It isn't going to happen. And like I said, this is what I've been saying for a long time. This is what they're going to get Trump on, because if you want to look at his business dealings, oh, there's going to be a ton of financial stuff they can get him on. This guy's got ties to mobsters. They found some property in, where was it? I want to say it's Panama or something, where they found he was literally laundering money for the Russian mob. So there's stuff here. There's definitely stuff here. And it'll be fun to see how this turned out. But wait, it gets better. Donald Trump, of course, he had to reply to this, right? So now, next thing we're going to get into, this is what Donald Trump had to say in retort as a reply to Steve Bannon, to this coming out that Steve Bannon had said this. Okay, so here's some excerpts from what Trump had to say about Steve Bannon. Bannon has nothing to do with me or my presidency. When he was fired, he not only lost his job, he lost his mind. Now that he's on his own, Steve is learning that winning isn't as easy as I make it look. Steve had very little to do with our historic victory, which was delivered by the forgotten men and women of this country. Yet Steve had everything to do with the loss of a Senate seat in Alabama held for more than 30 years by Republicans. And then after all this jaw-jacking back and forth between the two, Trump's lawyers sent Bannon a cease and desist letter saying that he has to stop talking about this stuff because it violates a non-disclosure agreement that Bannon had to sign to be part of the Trump campaign, which is unusual. You usually don't have to sign non-disclosure agreements for stuff like that. So that's just another layer on top of this. But I find this whole thing insanely entertaining. I find it funny that these two are going at it. So here's the thing. Donald Trump says that Bannon had very little to do with their win. And I'm sorry, I don't buy that at all. He made Steve Bannon the chief strategist. That's not the coffee guy. That's not the little gopher. You know, that's a big thing. And he also put him on the National Security Council until the National Security Council said, "What the fuck is this moron doing here? We don't want him. Shoo." And they had to kick him off. At least that's how I remember it happening. Maybe my memory's a little fuzzy on that because it was so long ago. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about that part of it. I'd have to go back and look. But for a very short amount of time, Bannon was on the National Security Council, and then he was removed from it. So for a bit there, he was like on the level with the Joint Chiefs. That's not somebody who doesn't have any influence, Donnie. I just find this funny. You can also find Sarah Huckabee Sanders trying to rationalize this. I would put that in here too, but then the video would just get to be too long. So I think I'll leave it here. But I'd like to know, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about this whole Trump Bannon dust up? Do you think this is going to last? Do you think they're going to keep butting heads? Do you think this is going to cause some big divide in the base? Because a lot of Trump's base comes from the alt-right, which Bannon is the voice of through Breitbart. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see where this goes. And, yeah, any little bit of enjoyment we can get while Trump's in office, I suppose, is a good thing. And seeing these two locked horns, I find that entertaining. I'm Al. I'll see you next time. Hey guys, it's Al again, and I'm just making a real quick addendum to the last video. I'd asked you guys how you thought this was going to play out, and turns out I taped it ahead of time before the posting date, and it didn't take 24 hours before something happened. Steve Bannon, I believe the term the alt-right likes to use is got cucked. Steve Bannon is now officially a cuck. Whatever. Yeah, it basically the Mercers had come out and said that while they will continue to fund Breitbart, they're not going to fund Steve Bannon in any way, shape, or form. They're not going to fund him personally. And then all of a sudden, Steve Bannon changes his tune and, oh, he's a great man and we support him and blah 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 blah. Basically, that's him bowing down at the altar of Trump. Yes, Daddy. Yes. Yeah. So, as always seems to happen with Republicans, it's all about the money. And I do realize that's a little ironic, me saying that with a picture of Batman right behind my head here, because I'm taping in a little different part of the apartment than I usually do. Okay, anyway. So, we're going to have to change the ending of that video. Instead of asking how you think this is going to play out, because we already know how it's playing out. Have you read the book? Were you able to get your hands on Wolf's book, Fire and Fury? I personally wasn't. I walked into a Barnes & Noble to try to get it, and they were sold out. I haven't had time to go anywhere else yet. So, if I can find it, I'll definitely pick it up. Otherwise, yeah. I'll eventually get it. It's just a matter of when. So, Do you plan on reading it? Are you interested in seeing what it has to say? I know I am. Anyway, I'm Al, and this time I mean it. I'm out. Have a good night. I'll see you next time.